You're listening to The Breakfast Show on Faith FM with me, Skafy. We have Lindsay and producer Shell in the studio. It is an absolute pleasure to spend this time with you this morning. Thank you so much for listening. And in today's show, we are going to be talking about a convicted murderer who's suing the state of Victoria over a jar of Vegemite. You will find out why a little bit later. We are also going to talk about some really interesting developments when Donald Trump invited Pope Leo to be part of President Trump's Board of Peace. Now, this Board of Peace is highly controversial, and if the Pope accepts to be a part of that, that is going to be even more controversial still. But you will find out why is it so controversial after the song, after this first part of the news. And we're also going to be having an interview with a pharmacist, Mr. Paul Kochansky, and he is going to give us tips about how to sleep better, including if you have any questions regarding drugs or other things that are used to aid in your sleep. Well, this is your opportunity. You can ask them directly to Paul, and we are going to ask him the question, and he will answer them for you live here on air. But he's not going to be talking only about medications and drugs and substances. He's also going to be talking about healthy, practical ways that we can use to improve our sleep. So, with that being said, with that great of a show lined up ahead of us, we could not do anything without first getting a quiz question.
Shell, can we have a quiz question,
prepare our
please?
hearts for what's to
You
come.
can indeed.
Please, producer Shell.
So yesterday we had a who said, and today we're going to have another who said. But what things were gain to me, those I counted loss for Christ. Who said that?
Well, if you've been listening to the show, I think
that's right.
you have a good idea.
That's correct. Who said, but what things were gain to me, those I counted loss for Christ. And yeah, if you want to, can give the book where this quote is as well for extra credit. Text us on 0491-064-669. Who said, but what things were gain to me, those I counted loss for Christ.
Very good. Speaking of counting as things that lost, there is one inmate in Victoria, and his name is McKinney. He's counting something as a big loss for himself, and that something is Vegemite. Now, let's just talk a little bit about this prisoner. So this prisoner's name is Andre McKechnie, and he's serving a life sentence in Victoria Prison because he stabbed a property developer, so that's a very sad story. And now he's complaining because of one of the prison security rules that they have, not only in Victoria, actually many states have that same rule, which is Vegemite is a banned product. Not only Vegemites, all the mites. It's a banned product. You cannot have Vegemites in prison.
Why is that?
Well, for a few reasons. Number one, the inmates found a way to use the Vegemite to brew some alcoholic substances.
Okay, I guess that isn't allowed in prison then.
It's not allowed in prison, so that's number one.
That wouldn't taste
But number
very
two,
nice,
there's a security thing about Vegemite, apparently.
How is Vegemite a security risk?
It is a security risk because there were some cases of inmates trying to smuggle in drugs into the prison through the Vegemite jar. And the thing is, the sniffing dogs, they don't like the Vegemite, and the Vegemite smell is so strong that it masks up everything else, so the dogs cannot tell if there is drugs buried inside of the Vegemite or not.
Wow.
It's just a very distracting smell for the dogs.
Overpowering scent for the dogs,
Very
and everything else
overpowering.
gets drowned out. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Alrighty.
So that's his theory. So there are some legitimate security reasons, but this convicted murderer, Andre McKechnie, he was not satisfied with that. So he somehow managed to set up a lawsuit against the state of Victoria, and because they are denying him the right to, and I quote, enjoy his culture as an Australian.
Interesting.
So he wants to enjoy his culture as an Australian, which is fair enough, but I don't know if he was enjoying the culture as an Australian when he decided to take someone else's life.
Yeah.
And
what about that person's right to the culture of
But
Australia?
actually, that legal battle has reached the Supreme Court. of Victoria. So they are going to be judging on whether or not to legalize Vegemite in prisons or not.
Wow. I'm just so curious about what is the
This is
real
amusing.
motive for this murderer to actually go to the Supreme Court and have a court battle about Vegemite. Like, is it that he's got nothing better to do with his time in prison, which he probably doesn't because it's prison? Like, is this just like a hyperfixation of his right now that he just
He
wants
might
Vegemite?
just really miss his Vegemite.
He just
Or
misses Vegemite.
Is this like an attempt to get Vegemite off the blacklist so that they can be smuggling drugs in more? Like, is this a slippery slope for the prison system? Like, and then another thought that comes to mind is we live in, I guess, such a woke culture that a convicted murderer is now demanding rights to experience Australian
That's
culture
right.
when he's basically prison is to take away your rights because of something bad that you've done. Like, that includes enjoying Vegemite. Like, think about that the next time you want to stab someone.
Yeah, it might go out without Vegemite. But look, at the same time, I'm thinking here, look, can we just like, have you seen these tiny little packages
The
of
little
Vegemite?
sachets,
yeah.
The little
Yeah.
sachets.
The tiny little.
There's just
yeah.
enough for like half a bread
Half
spread.
a slice of
If you
toast,
could
yeah.
have that, and then if you give that to the kitchen and they just spread it for you on your bread, well, is it going to be breaching the rules? Because I don't know if they are sealed, they're coming from the factory. Surely that there is a way that they can make it work. It doesn't need to be
They're
like these
always
massive
sealed,
tubs.
though. They're all, I don't think that the size is necessarily the problem because a small amount could still detract, I guess, a dog's nose from going where it should be
Yeah.
going. So even if you had just half of one of those tiny little
Yeah.
things, it could be enough to be able
Yeah.
to get your drugs smuggled in.
Yeah.
You
But then-
wouldn't need much. Vegemite is a very, very strong smell.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, maybe you're right. So maybe there was going to be no Vegemite. So we will see here what's going to trump.
Look, if I get a vote, I vote no, you don't get
Yeah.
your Vegemite. You suck it up and bear it.
That's right, and there will be a lot of other elements of Australian culture that he's also missing out
Yeah.
because he's in jail.
Well, look, so is the guy who he murdered. So,
Yeah, and
that.
yes, that's right, and the family of that person who probably cannot enjoy a jar of Vegemite properly because they don't have their father, their son, close to them. So, yeah, it is a very crazy story. I think it's a very 2026. It's actually this is 2025 story.
Okay.
It started in November 18. So, but still very, very interesting here. Let's see what is going to happen because this year that case is going to go on trial. And the judges will have to decide if it's a go or a no-go.
would you allow it if you were the
No.
judge? No?
No, I'm not a
Why
judge,
not?
but I would not. Look, I would put the prison security above the inmates' desire to enjoy Australian culture.
Radio. Yep, that's fair.
I'll say that you should enjoy Australian culture on the outside of the prison. If you're inside of the prison, you're probably not a very big fan of Australian culture in the first place. Because in Australian culture, we don't
don't.
kill people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We give each other a fair go.
yeah, that's right. Love it.
All right, I want to hear from our listener
Mm-hmm.
in the chat. If you are listening and you're following along this story, let us know. Do you think that the prisoners should be able to eat Vegemite? Or do you think that it's more important to leave the sniffer dog's nose intact and not have to deal with the smell of Vegemite so they can just be checking for contraband?
Speaking of which, there was a controversial episode involving Vegemite.
Yeah.
Last year
Was there?
in Canada. There was a shop in Canada. It was an Australian cafe, and they used to sell Vegemite
Sure.
to people. And the Australian health authorities, they prohibited that venue from selling Vegemite because it says that it was breaching, health and safety and proper smell.
Do you mean the Canadian authorities or the Australian?
Canadian.
The Canadian
What?
The
authorities.
Canadian authorities
Ref-
prohibited an Australian cafe from selling Vegemite in their cafe.
Wow.
And that actually ended up also escalating. It ended up becoming a small little judicial battle. And it turned out that the city's health department ended up backtracking and allowing the cafe to serve Vegemite to people.
That's just rude.
It was rude. But let me tell you this.
Wow.
When commenting on this topic, our current Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, he was commenting on that. And he mentioned that Vegemite is much better than the alternative rubbish. It's his words, which is Marmite.
Oh, dear.
So Prime Minister is a Vegemite fan and is a Marmite hater.
Oh.
And I actually want to know who is Team Vegemite and who is Team Marmite here.
Oh.
And that means that he also doesn't care for people who have pushed through the war to help others, because Marmite was the one that did that. And
what's the story with Marmite in the war?
What's the backstory of the Marmite?
So, during the war, when they couldn't get all of the ingredients for the yeasty pastes for the Vegemite and the Marmite and whatnot, because Marmite was the original one.
Okay.
And then Vegemite came along. And Marmite was far more popular before the war. But then during the war, the Vegemite was like, no, we don't have the ingredients, so we're just going to have to close down for now.
Sure.
Whereas Marmite's like, you know what, we're gonna keep pushing through. We're gonna get you guys what you want as best as we can. But the flavor wasn't as good.
It's kind of got altered a bit during the wartime.
It had to get altered because they couldn't get all of the proper ingredients. And so by the time the war was over, everybody was over Marmite as well.
They wanted something else.
Even though Marmite went back to its good
The
original recipe.
Public opinion
people
was
just
against
switched to Vegemite. So it's quite an interesting play on society and how we work. Because even though they were the ones who were there for you through the war, you just put them aside and switch to the other.
And younger, newer model comes along.
It looks like they ended up waging war against the taste buds of the customers.
Right. I grew up just Vegemite. I didn't even know Marmite was a thing most of the time. And then I learned that there was a lot of people in my circle who were very pro Marmite. And I was like, what? I don't even know what that is. Why would you eat that? Just eat the Vegemite. It's the real stuff.
How do you like your
both
Marmite?
The same, but
how do you like to eat yours?
Like Promite at all.
How do you like your Vegemite?
I just have a piece of toast. Like I usually don't even butter my toast, and I'll just like slather some on there, and then I might have some avocados. I might have some thinly sliced tomatoes with salt and pepper.
Yeah, that's my favorite way.
I like layering it up. Maybe a slice of cheese if I'm feeling naughty.
Yeah,
I
think that's the way to go.
I don't mind it with cheese, but I do not like Vegemite with anything else other than just butter on toast.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I don't like it with avocado or tomato.
I like the tomato and the avocado.
I mostly just eat Vegemite when I'm living overseas, though. Like when I'm in Australia, I don't eat it very much.
It's a bit of a taste from
it's
home.
Like, I miss Australia. So I kind of get the inmate who's like, it's my culture. And I'm like, it's my culture when I'm living overseas, but not when I'm actually here.
David says that Vegemite is better than Marmite for him. But he's also saying that his wife, Tina, would disagree with Shell about the smell of Vegemite because for her, it's actually strong and not nice at all.
No, I said it was strong.
Yeah. Oh, you said it's strong?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so David's wife doesn't think it's that strong.
Oh.
Well, no, I think that she is saying that it's strong, but he must have misheard me.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So,
alrighty.
Look, Vegemite is a thing that divides opinions. It actually made it all the way through to the Disgusting Food Museum in Sweden.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the foods that is there. But let us know if you were a Marmite fan, Vegemite fan, or neither of the above.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We are back, and it's time for a quiz answer. But before we do that, I have a message from Lincoln who's just come through talking about our Vegemite conversation we've just had.
What did he say?
And he says, good day, crew. Love the show. Always so happy. Promite is better than Vegemite or Marmite.
I think the Promite is for the pros. I haven't tried it before.
I
didn't even
have a
know it
daughter-in-law
existed.
that would definitely agree with you, Lincoln, but I do not. I'm sorry. No. That's my least favorite.
Oh, really? I haven't tried that one. I guess I have to try it.
I feel like I need to do a side-by-side exam.
It's sweeter. It's a little bit sweeter.
Oh, a bit sweeter. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah.
Okay.
So maybe Lincoln's a bit of a sweet tooth then.
The real deal is that you have to do
a little bit more
like brown than black? Or?
No, I don't know. Not like more
caramelly.
see-through-ish?
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. You know,
Like
it's,
thin?
it's just a little bit thinner than the
Okay.
others, I
Okay.
guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
interesting to do like a blindfold test with
Yeah.
all of the different brands out there, and then you see which one do you actually like the better.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for texting that through to us, Lincoln. Now it's time for our quiz answer show.
It was Paul.
Paul.
Paul from Philippians 3:7. But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Christ.
Amen.
So
Thanks for that.
powerful.
Very powerful passage. We have been talking about that throughout this week, and later today we are going to continue our study at 8 o'clock on the letter to the Philippians. I actually want to talk about Pope Leo XIV. There's a
Okay.
lot of news that came there. It was a busy week for the Pope this week.
What's he been getting
One
up to
big
this
news
week?
was that he published a message and called "Preserving Human Voices and Faces."
Voices and faces.
Voices
Is
and
this like
faces.
an AI thing?
It's an AI
or-
thing.
Oh, okay. I was right.
Pope Leo has been really taking on the AI.
Is he anti-AI?
It's not anti-AI, but he's definitely pointing out that hey, the dangers of AI.
Which are
Speaking-
significant.
Yeah, actually, just on that AI note, producer Shell, do you remember that doomsday clock?
Oh, yeah. They put it forward 4 seconds.
They
a couple
put it
days ago.
forward.
4 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah, looking up covered it.
They covered
on
it.
Wednesday.
That's right.
did
So
they?
so they and one of the things that they made the doomsday clock to move. So the doomsday clock is like a symbolic kind of a measure of how close we are to extinguish ourselves as a human race, and it is curated by a board of international nuclear scientists. It's actually a
Okay.
pretty serious thing, and people look into that. Actually, to the point that they have been making so many warnings that I think that now they are falling a little bit on deaf ears, but it's still very interesting. These are very educated researchers that are saying, hey, look, we are seeing the collapse of humanity in so many levels that we need to do something about it. And of course, the Bible does talk about the second coming of Jesus as the climax event that's going to wrap up the story of this planet here and start a new one. And before that, there's a bunch of things that are going to happen.
So where are we at in this doomsday clock?
Yes.
Do you
So
know?
I don't remember now. Let's see, producer Shell, can you see online if you can find out how many seconds we are?
Two days ago, I found it. It says doomsday clock set to 85 seconds to midnight. I guess it was at 89.
I was going to
a
say
minute ago.
86, but yeah.
85 seconds. Okay, so there's
Yeah.
still some time to breathe. 85 seconds,
85 more
but not
seconds,
a lot.
guys.
There's time to seek the Lord, but while He can be found. That's what the Bible says. Seek the Lord while He can be found. But talking about AI here, so AI is being used to that. Pope Leo. I always want to refer to him as Pope Bob, but I don't
Bob?
think that
Why?
people will find this
Does he look like a
disrespectful.
Bob to you,
No,
or-
because his name is Bob.
Oh, is it
It's
actually Bob?
Robert? Yeah, he's like the first ever American Pope.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so basically he was talking about that people says faces and voices are sacred, and our faces and voices are unique, distinctive features of every person. So he brought in like a sacredness twist. I think that I can see
All right.
that. I think I can agree with that. And he says the AI problem is not technological but anthropological. But he said some things that I found very interesting actually. He said although AI can provide support and assistance in managing tasks related to communication in the long run, choosing to evade the effort of thinking for ourselves and settling for artificial statistical compilations threatens to diminish our cognitive, emotional, and communication skills. I think that he is spot on here.
Okay.
So look, if we are delegating our brain to like a machine, that means that we are going to make our brains less powerful and more lazy.
100%. They've actually done brain scans where they've shown that people with like lower IQs to begin with, when they start using AI, in order to do their thinking for them, they actually get a lower IQ score even after that. Like their brains are degenerating. But people with higher IQs, when they use it for specific tasks, it actually can enhance the
Yeah.
work that they do. But
If you're using
think-
it like a Google, like to say so you can learn and aggregate, it's one thing. But if you're using it to do the thinking for you, this
Yeah.
is why I don't like using AI. I don't use AI to craft my messages, my
Yeah.
Bible studies. I don't use the AI. My show maximum that I use is to summarize or give me bullet points of a news that I have already read to save time. That's how I've been using it. But I like to read the actual news to make sure that it's there.
Get the truth out of it first.
So he's basically also saying that AI has the potential to fuel disinformation because it failed to verify sources and it causes mistrust, confusion, insecurity. So that was the Pope. I think that the Pope here, Pope Leo, is being an important voice in that communication here because, to be honest, the tech magnates that are behind the AI, usually they're just touting the AI's benefits and advantages. They're not really too concerned about the ethical side of it.
Yeah.
And what Pope Leo is pushing through, yes, we can have AI, but hey, we actually need to have a platform to make sure that AI is not going to destroy us and our uniqueness. And he says, look, and he mentioned in that message in particular the risk of using AI as emotional support and emotional companions.
Yeah, which apparently
it's a big thing.
A great incidence of that happening, and young people using it as like a therapist.
And old people as well. People of all ages.
Yeah, and like the kind of responses that the AI is being given to young people when they're basically saying, hey, look, I'm depressed. And the AI is like, well, then you should probably go and end your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's not a very good therapist. You probably shouldn't be relying on that.
That's right. There are definitely some big scandals on that. And
yeah.
So that was but that's not the only news about Pope Leo that's coming up.
Yeah. What
Another
else
news that I
up
think
to?
it's even more interesting is that Donald Trump started with a thing called a Board of Peace.
Okay.
So the Board of Peace, what people are saying is like a little parallel UN that Trump is creating where he's the big boss.
Of course.
And by him, I mean him personally.
Of course.
So not the United States, but he is the lifelong chairman of the board. And he has invited 60-odd nations to be part of it. 25 of them actually signed up and said, yes, we are going to be a part of it. They are going to have a 3-year free trial. But if they want to keep on that Board of Peace for longer than that, they have to pay $1 billion. So a lot of people are comparing that to like a pay-to-play subscription to influence.
A big leagues version.
$1 billion. President Trump is the only one who has power to veto. He can kick out countries if he doesn't like them.
25 countries that have said yes.
They have said yes, yeah.
When
Some
did this
countries
happen?
said no.
Did this happen overnight?
Yeah, it's been happening since, for the last week.
Wow.
Yes, he announced the idea of creating, and the idea of that Board of Peace is to oversee the ceasefire and the transition in the Gaza Strip.
Okay.
But he's also saying now that, hey, we can actually use it beyond Gaza Strip and just for a whole bunch of geopolitical problems in the world. If there's a war, let's not go to the UN. Let's just, resolve between us here, the gentleman's club.
Sure.
So to speak.
Wow.
And now the latest person to be invited to be a part of to his Board of Peace is Pope Leo XIV.
I mean, I guess the Vatican is its own little country, so that would make sense as the guy in charge of that country.
It does,
as other reasons.
It does, but it doesn't, because the reality is the Pope has never been part of like a kind of a private board like of a country like this, because they normally try to stay neutral. So it would be a first time in history if an American Pope decides to be a member of a kind of a private board organization led by the United States and led by the United States. So basically you're there to serve the interests of ultimately the United States.
Sure. Yeah.
And normally the Vatican wants to stay exempt from being under the subjection of a national power and country. As you mentioned, they are their own country for that reason.
I mean,
so he hasn't responded yet. They say that they are analyzing. They say they're considering.
So it's not yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trump thinks that the Pope would be a great influence, moral influence. He was even thinking about exempting the Vatican of having to pay the $1 billion
I mean, they'd be able to
fee.
afford it, I reckon, but...
Yeah, but they would be exempt for that.
Sure.
So the question that remains is Pope Leo going to be subject to Trump's parallel UN or not? We don't know, but I think that it's a very interesting question, because we see in the book of Revelation a connection between the two powers, the beast from the sea representing the Roman Church whose the head is the Pope or the papacy, the papal system. We also see the beasts of the earth represented by the United States.
This is 100%.
And you see them
unfolding in
we see them working together, one enforcing the desires and the agenda of the others. One using the United States using Christianity or a politicized version of Christianity to achieve their geopolitical goals, but at the same time, we also see a corrupt version of Christianity in the end of times, also using the power of the state to promote their views and their doctrine. And behind all of these movements, we see Satan using them as puppets so that he can get as many people as possible to disobey God's law.
Man, I just love watching Bible prophecy unfold before
our very own eyes.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We are now honored to bring in our guest for today. Our interview is going to be with Mr. Paul Kochanski. He's a pharmacist, and he's going to be telling us about the secrets and the science behind a good night of sleep. Mr. Paul, good morning to you. It's wonderful to have you with us again on the Breakfast Show.
Thank you, Skafy. Thank you, Lindsay. Good morning, listener.
Good morning. Paul, tell us a little bit about the importance of good sleep and what are people doing it wrong and how can we do it better?
Look, I don't want to mention what people are doing wrong, but a good night's sleep has so many benefits for overall health, for reducing inflammation, for feeling better mood, so many benefits of a good night's sleep. And there are some simple things that people can incorporate in their life, from natural options, just things in their day routine that will help them sleep better.
Okay. Well, so what are some of the things that they can do, particularly in terms of natural? So are we talking about supplements that people can take? Do they help, or should we avoid them and try to just sleep without them?
Look, as I go about my work, oftentimes people go to their doctor first and say, "Hey, doctor, I'm not sleeping well. What can I do?" And the doctor prescribes them some sleeping medications, and that is an option. But I like to also suggest that people consider, before they go onto the chemicals, to try natural options like lavender, passion flower, magnesium, lemon balm that comes from North and South Wales. It's a member of the mint family. And those natural options, together with others, have been shown to promote and help people to sleep without the need for heavier medications that down the track may have some side effects, and their sleep may not be as deep rather than doing it naturally, and their body has the chance to sleep deeper and then feel more refreshed in the morning.
Okay. So how does it work? How does the lavender work, lemon balm? What do you have to do? Do you have to sprinkle it in your pillow? How do you use it?
That's good. Well, look, lavender comes as an essential oil. People can use a diffuser. There's lavender capsules that are safe to use orally in small amounts. A magnesium powder comes as a powder with passion flower mixed in. So just mix that in, after your dinner, and that starts absorbing in your body and then promotes, sleep. Lemon balm, you can make a tea. Chamomile, you can make a tea. So these are simple things that people can do that won't cause more problems down the track. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I actually have a big curiosity here because I know that in many countries, if you go to the United States, for example, you can go to any pharmacy and you can buy over-the-counter melatonin supplements. But
yes.
These are kind of banned here in Australia. I think that they have to be prescribed by a GP. What's the story about melatonin?
Well, melatonin has been around for a long time, as you mentioned, yes, correctly. And melatonin is available on doctor's prescription for those people that are under 55 that need that. But people that are over 55, generally in Australia, can speak to a pharmacist, and the pharmacist can discuss that with them and see if it's appropriate. and it can be purchased. And also for those people that are traveling internationally, can get a small packet of melatonin. And melatonin, as you are aware, is one of the chemicals that is involved with the circadian rhythm, the body's 24-hour dark, light, sleep-wake cycle, body clock. And that can help as well, which is more of a natural approach to promote sleep. So yes, melatonin is available in Australia as well as overseas.
Okay, very good. And Paul, I also want to ask you about screen time, because I believe that many Australians reported that one of the things that the last thing that they do before going to bed is have that good doom scroll on social media. And I'm wondering, does that help you to like kind of wind down your brain a little bit and produce some good sleep, or is there some risks associated with that practice?
That's a very good question, Skafy. I'm not an expert in this field. However, what I discovered from Nedley Health, he's a well-renowned researcher in America, that says, look, the danger of screen time just before bed, it doesn't help people. It interferes with their blue light in their eyes. It has, just the constant, screen and constant images flashing up has different wave patterns in the brain, how the brain actually, goes into different cycles. And I'm not an expert in that, but the recommendation that I've read and that I try to do is an hour or two, at least an hour, two maybe better. Before bed, no screens, turn off the TV, turn off the iPhone, turn off the phone, and just have a book or a gentle music or just do something different rather than the screen light in your face.
Mm-hmm, I see. To have a bit of a detox, and I think that it goes beyond the blue light. Depending on the content that your social media is feeding you, it can be quite stimulating as well for your brain.
Yeah, and you're thinking about the different things, and you're thinking how to respond or different feelings. So yes, that may not be the best.
Absolutely. What about stimulants? A lot of people enjoy drinking a cup of coffee even after going to bed, after dinner. In many restaurants, people offer, "Hey, would you like a little cup of coffee after after dinner?" Particularly in some like higher end restaurants. What's the potential of caffeine? Because some people report that, they can drink a whole cup of coffee and they can sleep like a baby. And others say, look, I'm awake the entire night if I had like just a sip of it in the morning. What's the influence of caffeine in sleeping? How does it work?
That's a good question. Dr. Ross Grant, who I think you know, and the listener might know as well, he's an expert in this field, but just briefly, caffeine blocks adenosine receptors in the brain, and that receptor is a neurotransmitter, adenosine, that promotes sleep. So people say, "Oh, I drink caffeine, throughout the morning and then early afternoon," and then come to me saying, "Look, I'm having trouble sleeping." And one of the questions I ask is, "How much caffeine do you consume?" And they tell me, and I say, "Look, may I recommend that be reduced?" And I was just speaking to a friend last night, actually, saying that he knew a person that was drinking a lot of caffeine, and just over weeks and weeks and weeks, reduced it down to a minimum or even not at all. So it is possible, and there are many healthy alternatives to caffeine that won't interfere with the neurotransmitters in the brain.
Yeah.
But for those people that say, because it's known that caffeine is metabolized very differently from person to person, these people that say, "Yeah, look, I can have a cup of coffee before going to bed and that doesn't affect my sleep at all," is it really that the case, do you think? Or do you think it's probably their sleep, even though they are able to sleep, their sleep is probably not as good by virtue of having taken that caffeine?
I would say that's correct. The last thing you just said, because there are different levels of sleep, and I'm not an expert in this, but there's, the light sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep, the deeper sleep, and the refreshing sleep, and the restorative sleep, and then as the morning comes, you kind of, wake out of that, and then, a bird can chirp in the morning and you're awake. So, whereas if the same noise happens when in the middle of the night, you won't hear it because the sleep is deeper. So there are different things that, yes, people say, yes, I can fall asleep, but is the sleep refreshing? And I guess a definitive answer would be go to a sleep study and they'll see, yes.
Yeah, it's very interesting. What about the right position? Because some people like to sleep on their backs. Some people like to sleep on their sides. Some people like to sleep with their tummy down. I'm a bit of a tummy down person. I do not know you, listener, or you, Lindsay. But Paul,
I'm a side sleeper.
You're a side sleeper?
Yeah.
What are some of the tips? And sometimes people are tossing and turning and they cannot find the right position to sleep in that particular night. Is there any tips regarding finding that ideal relaxing body position to sleep?
No, Skafy, I don't have any comment on that. They can call you and ask you. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
What about other aids to sleep, Paul? What else are we looking here that we can incorporate to our routine, to our day-to-day, so we can ensure a better sleep?
Oh, look, hydrotherapy. Sometimes people find a contrast shower, hot and cold, or even just a warm bath may help just people relax a bit. So that's another option. Making sure they get enough sunlight during the day, particularly in the morning. Morning sun is good because that even tells the body, hey, it's daytime now, and in so many hours it'll be nighttime, and then so that will help a good night's rest in the evening. So try to have adequate sunshine.
That is very interesting. And what about when a lot of people report that one of the reasons of their insomnia is that their thoughts are rushing, and they're thinking, and they're probably harboring anxious thoughts in their minds. Perhaps they're worried about how they're going to pay their bills, or they're worried about their children, or they're worried about tomorrow. What can they do about it if their brains are having a hard time slowing down before going to bed?
That's a good question. I don't have all the answers, but I think between all of us, we understand that prayer is a good way to just cast our burdens onto a loving Father in heaven. Reading the Bible and encouraging Bible passage, maybe sharing your thoughts on paper to write it down. If it's appropriate, call a friend and share that with a friend. There are many strategies just to calm the mind. Sing a gentle song. Other strategies. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think these ones are good. Me personally, I'm a big fan of reading the Bible before going to bed.
Yeah.
I actually try to memorize the Bible because I not so much with the intent of memorizing that particular passage sometimes, but just by my brain trying to get that effort of memorizing, I ended up falling asleep with a nice thought in my mind.
That's a really good idea.
And Paul, one more thing here, because we had about just 1 minute left in our interview. I'm wondering about napping. Napping is a bit controversial. Some people say that, look, they cannot go throughout their day without napping.
It's my favorite sport.
Lindsay's, for example, it's her favorite sport. She has an Olympic gold medal on that, apparently, what she was telling me. And but napping can also disrupt your nighttime cycle. So how do we find the balance there?
Look, if you nap during the day, then you're kind of not getting tired towards the end of the day, and Nedley recommends that if you do need to nap, do it before noon and no more than 15 minutes. So an afternoon sleep or a long daytime sleep, unless you're absolutely exhausted from night shift or whatever, that's a different story. But just sleeping too much during the day may not give you a good night's rest.
Okay, so you're talking about just like a power nap, really. What a 15-minute nap
10,
is.
15 minutes, that should be okay before noon if you need to.
Very good. And Paul,
I love my power nap.
Do you like a power? How long are your power naps?
10 minutes. Boom.
Oh.
I lay down, takes me about 10 minutes to fall asleep, and then I sleep for 10 minutes. I wake up, look at my clock. Always around 10 minutes.
Wow.
And then I'm good to go. But mine are usually around 2.
Okay. Very
Yeah,
good.
I always try to have my nap before 4 p.m. If it's after 4, I'm like, I'll just wait to go to bed properly. Yeah.
Okay. And Paul, if people want to know more about that, is there an article by Nedley Health that you recommend?
Yes, if people just search the web, Nedley Health Solutions, and then 13 tips for sleeping better, they'll be able to review some of the things we mentioned and find some resources that may help them have a good night's rest.
Absolutely. 13 tips to sleeping better by Nedley Health Resources. If you would like for me to send you the link to that article, you can also text us here if it's easier to 0491 064 669, and we will share that article with you. And we are praying and hoping that you can get a better sleep. I myself am going to try the lavender essential oil tonight and see if that helps me. Paul, thank you so much for bringing us these incredible tips about how to sleep better. This is definitely something that we all can improve on and enjoy more.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.